wasn't going to film today, but I've come across some things that I think you'd like to see, and one or two things that are going to shock you, or you might enjoy watching the film. So this is a little 1974 XS 500 Yamaha with 6,000 miles only. It's a gorgeous little bike. It was supplied to me by my friend Bob Green, who lives in Ohio, and it's very typical of stuff Bob sends, low mileage, and sometimes they vary in condition, but that's always reflected in the price. But this is a very, very pretty little bike. I'll let you have a look at it in a minute. But of course it hasn't run for many, many years. I've had it running and it didn't run very well, so I've got the carbs off as ever, and I've got them in the basket here for the sonic cleaner. You know, they're full of, rusty crud and residue, and I've got all the jets out. They're bunged up, as you'd expect from a bike that's not been run for a long time. So we'll give them a clean. I'll pop them in my cleaner once it gets up to heat. But what I want to talk to you about today is just the general state of the alloy. I think the history of the bike is just having spent a bit of time going around it. I suspect it was bought new and then it was run through the autumn or the spring when there was some salt on the road, and then it was parked up. So the fork legs are quite badly attacked with through the lacquer into the body of the aluminium, and that's really quite hard to get out. So I'm going to show you how to get that out in a way that I haven't done before now. The casings, the engine casings, are really quite, they're a little bit tarnished, but they'll come up really very easily. So I'll just show you one or two things here. Okay, you can see how pretty this bike is. It's absolutely lovely, and it just needs a little bit of love now to bring it back. So what I'm talking about with the fork legs is, you can see here how deeply marked they are, and that won't come out with metal polish or just with my polishing wheels. So we'll need to get a bit more aggressive there with that, and it might surprise you what I'm going to do with it. You can see the state of the wheels, really nice. I just give that a tiny polish just there so you can see how nice these headers are, and that's going to come up so sweetly. The alloy on the engine casing there is just grubby, that's all. It's just a wee bit tarnished, but that'll come out. I'll polish that up with this filler that you've seen me use before, and that'll just clean off the initial discoloration and corrosion, and that'll polish out really nicely, so you'll see that when it's done. Likewise the cam covers, you can see the exhaust. I've polished that one just a tiny bit. It only took a few seconds to polish it. It was a bit like that, just a bit. You can just see there's a big scratch on it. Something's happened at some time, but it's 50 years old. Come on guys, give me a break. So that's a bit, just dirty, but you can see how it comes up with a tiny bit of polish. It's fantastic, and this is going to make such a nice bike. So what I'm going to do now, in a few minutes, I'm going to pop those carburetors in the cleaner, and I'm going to take the bike down at the back and get it up in the air, get this front end, and I'll drop the fork tubes out and we'll give those a clean. So I'll speak to you in a few minutes. Whilst I was away, I've done a bit more than I expected to do. What I did first, I gave this side cover a wee polish up. Can you see that? How does that look? Don't we just like shiny? Beautiful, isn't it? And all it took was the kind of rotary Scotch Brite pad, and then my polishing wheels. But that looks fantastic. I'll do a bit more round there, and then I will polish off the cam cover and stuff. I will polish the rest of the pipes and stuff as well. So let's just have a look what we're going to do with this fork leg. This leg we just took off that, and you can see it's pretty unsightly. It's not in a great way at all. So how am I going to deal with this? This will seem like heresy to some of you, but this is emery tape. It's not particularly fine. A 180 would be better. This is a 120. It won't matter. You'll see this will have a fantastic result, because what I'm going to do, let me just adjust this camera so you can see it. Now this part on the back of the leg is usually quite rough cast. It's usually behind the brake, behind the wheel, and it doesn't really get a lot of visibility. So they tend to be cast a bit less beautifully, and they're not polished in the way that the rest of it normally is. So this has been hanging up for weeks and weeks, so it's gone all crinkly. So that's probably enough. So right, so let's pull that straight. all part of the joy, you know. And then, so I'll just lie that there. And the trick is, so I put tons and tons of this light lubricating oil on there. And the trick is not to let this dry out. And make sure that's nipped up reasonably. I haven't got any soft jaws, otherwise I would be using the soft jaws. So let's just put that on there. And what this will do, once I start rubbing, it will create, I need to pop this in, stops that rotating. And you see that sounds all dry and horrible, doesn't it? I'm just going to keep going like this, and as long as I keep getting enough of that oil onto it, that'll turn that into a paste. And you can see it's turning into a paste already. Don't let it dry out, whatever you do. And it's only on the bit here, but you can't really see anyway. So what I'll do, I'll just rotate that on the other side. And you will see, I'm going to start working on this side now. So once again, don't, whatever you do, let it get dry. And let's start working that paste gently into all that corrosion. And the purists among you will be throwing your hands up in the air. I need to move that dust boot, but I'll do that afterwards. Okay, and just keep gently working away at that, and that'll chew through the lacquer really very quickly. But as long as I keep that paste on it and keep it wet, down here, I usually make a bit more time building the paste up before I actually get to work on the bit that I'm trying to save. I'll rotate that a bit again. That'll go in. Keep it wet. And you'll see the lacquer's gone now, and we'll be through now into that aluminium and polishing that pitting out. This bit doesn't matter because it's, once again, it's where you can't see, but the kind of front part of the leg is the most important part. I'll turn that around a bit. I need to get into this part and do that kind of more manually. That bit in there that I can't get to, and all these bits, I need to do those manually. But we're starting to get there now. Yeah, it looks all scratched to buggery, but I promise you guys, this is going to look great. You just have to keep at it for a little bit longer. I did one the other week in one of the Kawasaki's, and when they come, the local taxation is evidenced by having a sticker on the front leg of the bike, on one of the fork legs, and I did one and I could not, I mean, they were quite nice legs, but I couldn't get that. The etch, I think, you know, somebody might correct me here, they etch the fork leg first. So this sticker will really stick, because when you try and get it off, you can't get it, won't come off. You have to kind of slice it off a tiny bit at a time, or maybe some heat would get it off, I don't know, maybe one of you guys will tell me. But I'm loath to start putting heat on legs. Anyway, so I got all the sticker off, and when I got down to the parent aluminium, it would not polish out, no matter what I tried to put, no, how I polished it with my polishing wheel, These fellas here. No matter how I tried to polish it with them, it just wouldn't polish out. I could see that it was kind of etched in, so I had to do this and to get the etching out, and it came up great. It looked absolutely great at the end. Right, for the purposes of this, I'm going to stop there. You can see I need to do some more there in the parts that I couldn't get at, and that looks a bit scratched up, so I assure you it's not. Now let's get my pistol drill. Stand out of the way, boys. Battery's died. Plan B. Polish that up now, very quickly, just I think that, as a demonstration, that's my, hang on, I'll give that a wee wipe. I think that a demonstration is what can be achieved very quickly, just by a wee bit of emery cloth and some polishing thereafter. It's fantastic, and this is going to look absolutely great when it's on the bike. Let me just show it to the other camera. That is the part I have just polished. Make sure it can focus. I like it. The camera tries to find me. Why wouldn't it? I'm sure. But that's the part I've just polished, and it's going to look great, all of it. So I'll just carry on doing this now, and I've only got one fork leg out just now, but I'll finish doing this, pop the other leg out, and it'll take me about an hour to do both. So I think it's time really, really well spent on the appearance of the bike. Okay, so here's our little 500 Yam behind us that we've been polishing. Well, I've been polishing and you've been watching, and I think you'll agree it's made a gorgeous little bike. The tanks, the paintwork's all been completed, the alloy's polished. I've polished the chrome up, and it just looks absolutely knockout. So I'll just have a little walk around it with you. You can see the fork legs, they looked so awful before. Polished up beautifully and look really, really nice on the bike. On the other side there, they look absolutely knockout. And the wheels, of course, always were in great condition. So thanks to Bob Green from Ohio for providing this bike for me. Engine casings have come up really, really nicely, as have the cam box. Look at the exhaust, absolutely knockout, love them. And the hub there is nicely polished up, and the wheel, of course, just needed a good clean. So one way or another, it's made an absolutely lovely little bike. It's still wearing an American number plate, because I'm waiting for the registration to drop through. Little split in the seat there, as you can see, and I'm kind of loath, I don't know quite what to do with it. I might just leave it as it is, because the bike is so original. I don't want to start chopping bits off it, even to replace it with nice new bits. Once again, exhaust on that side, absolutely flawless, and that's my point. I've also spilt a bit of fuel on it, fool that I am. You know, it looks lovely. So, how does it go is the question. Look at that tank. My man did that tank. He trades a spray tank, and if you want any work doing, he does a gorgeous job. He built all the decals and everything. He does lovely work. If you remember, this was it came off the boat and with a big dink in the tank. So he gets the dinks out, and then he's painted it everywhere and remade the decals. So it's a lovely job, and it just finishes the bike off. So I think you'll agree, it looks absolutely brilliant. So the question is, how does it go? And I think you'll see, for a 500 that's nearly 50 years old, it absolutely flies and sounds fantastic. So listen to this.